Please join me in our prayer of illumination. O Holy Father, as in Jesus Christ, you came to show us the way, the truth, and the life. Guide our steps today and direct our lives so that we may worship and serve you in spirit and in truth. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. All right, Grandpa, can you keep his attention?
I think we had messed up their routine.
Is that right?
And so he made it back to his routine.
Last said he come about halfway through. I got tired of that over there and he keep going right on through here. Look at all he is. Matthew 10, 5 through 8. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions. Go nowhere among the Gentiles, and enter no town of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As you go, proclaim the good news. The kingdom of heaven has come near. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. You receive without payment, give without payment. Receive without payment, give without payment. Before we begin, I want to wish all the dads in the room Happy Father's Day. One of the wonderful things in my life, I assure you, is to be a father. It's just wonderful. There's no way I can describe it. Fathers don't get much respect anymore, though, sometimes, especially in our society. A comedian observed once that boys grow up spending hours and hours throwing footballs and going to games with their dads. When they make it big on the college scene before the big bowl game, they get interviewed, and the first thing they say is, "Hi, Mom." But the news on Father's Day isn't all bad. The National Center for Fathering conducts Father of the Year essay contest in partnership with local schools and sponsoring organizations. The 2005 8 contests were held, and altogether, over 100,000 school children submitted essays on the topic, "What My Father Means to Me." Here's a sample of the essays from the past contest. First grader writes, "My dad is the best dad ever. I would kiss a pig for him." I guess that must mean something to him. Another first grader writes, "My dad is a Frito-Lay man. That's an important job because Frito-Lay means chips, which is food. And that's so important because you can't live without food." Third grader writes, "The dad in my life isn't really my dad. He's my grandpa. But he's been like my dad to me since I was born. I hope that as I get older, Grandpa will teach me all the stuff he knows about wood and about first aid and about everything else he knows about. My grandpa isn't my father, but I wouldn't trade him for all the dads in the world." Fourth grader writes, "Sometimes as a joke, I'll put my stinky socks in his briefcase so I work the next day he'll think of me. He's always at the concerts and plays that I'm in, even though he lives an hour away." Fifth grade girl writes, "You know what else my dad does? He braids my hair. I'm the only girl I know whose dad braids her hair. I think that's a perfect dad. He already is the world's greatest dad to me. I just want everyone to know that." Finally, sixth grader writes, "One time I had an assembly, and I was a soloist, and my dad was in the first row. And after my song, I smiled at my dad, and my dad smiled back at me, started crying. The best thing I ever saw." So the news for dads isn't all bad. Still, Father's Day is known as the day grown-up kids call home to talk to dad. If you got a Father's Day present, bless your heart. I hope it's something you can use. The problem in our society is that we're so affluent, it's a real challenge to give anyone something they truly need. Most of the things we want are simply bigger and better variations of what we already have. What do you give to people who have everything? That's all I want to talk about for a few moments. Why do you give people who have everything? Jesus called his 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out evil spirits and heal every disease and sickness. Then he sent them out with these instructions that I just read to you. Do not go among the Gentiles or any town of the Samaritans. Go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. As you go, preach this message. The kingdom of heaven is near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, drive out demons. Then he has these powerful words. Freely you have received, freely give. Folks, here's the motivation for all evangelism, all works of justice, all foreign mission, all acts of kindness. Freely you have received, freely give. That's the basis. We have so much, you and I. First thing they say, we have so much. A visitor from a third world country came to the United States. As he was riding through the subdivision, he noticed a car backing out of a garage, and he said with amazement, "You even have houses for your cars." We already thought about that. It reminds me of something humorous Will Rogers once said in the midst of the Great Depression. Will Rogers, who had seen grinding poverty in other parts of the world, said of America, "We'll hold the distinction of being the only nation that ever went to the poorhouse in an automobile." That's kind of sad, isn't it? Dr. Samuel Zumwalt tells about one of his friends who was a recovering alcoholic. When this friend went on a mission trip to Honduras, her whole worldview changed. She said to Dr. Zumwalt, "I've always felt poor since I lost my big 4-bedroom house in a divorce. Then I came to Honduras and saw how the victims of Hurricane Mitch were thrilled to have these 2-room houses that we were building there." She said, "I came back to my 600 square foot condominium and I saw that I live in a palace compared to them. I'm rich. I never knew it until I went to Honduras." True for most of us, I suspect. We're rich. We only knew it. That's why we need to listen very closely to Jesus' words when he said, "Freely you have received, freely give." Motivational speaker Tony Robbins, that some of you may know about, tells about something life-changing that occurred on Thanksgiving Day many years ago. This is the story. A young boy woke up with a sense of dread. His family was in a bad financial situation. They didn't have much to look forward to that Thanksgiving, just at best a meager meal. They were too proud to ask for charity. This led to frustration and harsh words between mom and dad. The boy was devastated to watch his mother and father becoming more and more angry and depressed with each passing hour. Then suddenly there was a loud and totally unexpected knock on the door. Standing there was a tall man in rumpled clothing, grinning broadly and carrying a huge basket. In that basket was a multitude of good foods: turkey, stuffing, pie, sweet potatoes, canned goods. The man at the door said, "This is from someone who knows you're in need and wants you to know that you're loved and cared for." The father immediately protested, but the man holding the basket said, "I'm just a delivery person. Have a nice Thanksgiving." In that brief encounter, says Tony Robbins, this young man's life was changed. The kindness of this stranger would never be forgotten. The young man vowed that someday he would repay that wonderful gesture. By the time this young man was 19 years old, he had begun to fulfill that promise. That Thanksgiving, with his own earnings, he set out to purchase groceries not for himself, but for 2 families that he knew were in need. When he arrived at the first house, he was greeted by a Latino woman with 6 children. Her husband had abandoned the family only 2 days before. They had no food. You can imagine the pandemonium when this young man went to his car and started bringing in turkey and stuffing and sweet potatoes and canned goods and all the things that he had brought for his family. The children shrieked and the woman started exclaiming, "You a gift from God! You a gift from God!" "No," said the young man, "I'm just a delivery boy. This is a gift from a friend." The young man was sharing with others because someone had first shared with him. By the way, the rest of the story, this is actually a personal story of Tony Robbins himself. He was the boy whose stressed-out family received the Thanksgiving basket and turned around and began giving out similar baskets at 19 years of age. And because, as a motivational speaker, he has achieved astounding success, Robbins also started a foundation that has given Thanksgiving baskets to hundreds of thousands of people over the years. Those are one person's thoughtfulness. Freely you have received, freely give. We are rich folks. We really are. That's why we need to listen very closely to Jesus' words. Free you have received, free to give. For here's the motivation for all good works. Free you have received, free to give. Now, final story, and it's my personal story. I'll try to get through this. Probably 50 years, almost 50 years ago now, how time gets away. Carol and I were married, we had one child. I was serving 5 churches, all kinds of churches. Also going to school, getting ready to go to school, seminary. I was also, Carol and I were establishing a farm. She was taking care of the kid and helped take care of me and write all my stuff for seminary and, worked on the farm with the tractor just like she always did. And the rest of the time she just looked in the yard, said sunning herself. What are you laughing about? Anyway, about that time, we were poor as church mind. No insurance. We didn't have any. Except we were happy. We had one kid, we were happy. We were working hard. About 6 months into our second pregnancy, in the middle of the night, I woke up and she woke up and she was hemorrhaging. I called the doctor and he came out immediately. Dr. Donor from Russia came out immediately and said we had a problem. So he called for an ambulance. Of course, the ambulance back then was a funeral director's, hearse. And so the hearse came out and got her and took her into the hospital. She was in there for probably a week. And, we tried at home again. So we back out home. About 3 days later, called the doctor, middle of the night, come out. He came out, called the ambulance, took her back to the hospital in Rushville, where she remained for the next 6 weeks on her back. And then, about 6 weeks later, with all that going on, by the way, bless my mom and my mother-in-law, they kept me afloat. And anyway, about 6 weeks later, middle of the night, this thing all started all over again. So Dr. Donor, I've never seen him, only one time I was around him, that he was nervous. And he was trying to get the needle into her vein so she could get blood as she went to Springfield, which is where we was headed. He finally gave up and gave her the nurse. The nurse, by the way, was Carol's aunt. And so we went with us in the hearse to Springfield. It was quite a trip, and I'll have her tell about to you about it sometime, because she actually died along the way. She reacted to the blood. It was horrible. We got over there finally, and they took her immediately to the room. And I got a little story there too. I'm going to tell it. I'll tell it later some other time. But took her immediately to the room, and I went up where she was. And the next day, early in the morning, they did a C-section. Okay, now she's 6 weeks plus 6 months. You see, she did a C-section. Our daughter, if you've ever seen her, she did okay, but she started out at 4 pounds and 1 ounce, and she eventually went down to 3 pounds and I don't know what it was, but it was just beautiful. You just hold her in your hand. It was just incredible. So there she stayed for about a week in the intensive care and getting well again. And our daughter was in the, I don't know what they call it over there at Springfield, it was the prenatal or whatever it is. It's just where they got a special unit just for babies. What? Yeah, whatever that is. Okay. That. Okay. She was there, and about a week, Carol got to go home. But our daughter stayed there in that unit for another 3 weeks, I suppose, or something like that. Finally, we were able to go get her and bring her home. We were all glad to be home, but by the way, did I mention that I had no insurance? Okay, I finally thought, I might as well just go face the music. About a week or so later, so I got in the car and I went to Springfield. Went to the place where you pay your bills, and I told the lady there, I said that my name and Carol's name and our daughter's name, and wondered what the bill was. I just thought, well, I'll just pay whatever I can down for the rest of my life. That's what I assumed, because it would have been huge. A little while later, she came out. She says, you don't owe anything. It's been paid. All of it. So, well, I went out to my car, and I did what I'm doing now for a half hour. Now I thought, well, I'm going to go from here. This is a good step. So I headed to Rushville Hospital. I remember 6 weeks there, one time, a week another time, all the visits that Dr. Dooner made in there, probably 2 a day at the very least. That whole thing, I went to Rushville. But go to Lamb, one thing on bill, go try it. She went back and a little while later, she said, come out, she said, it's been paid. Whole thing. Again, I went to the car, did what I did. And I went, well, I would just keep on going. So I went to the funeral director and I said, what do I owe you? 2 trips out to the farm and 1 trip to Springfield. And he said, so you know, we don't charge pastors. This is our gift to the community. You know what I'm saying? I'm batting real good. I gotta go to the doctor now and see how we do here. So I went to the doctor, and Dr. Donner Rushville, if anybody's been there, that's quite a guy. He's dead now, but what a man. Anyway, I went to his office and said, what my bill? And a little while later, the nurse came out, and she says, it'll be $25. $25. I have no idea how many times I visited her. Out home, before and after, whole thing. $25. Folks, to this day, I have no idea who paid those bills. I really don't. I try to figure it out, you know how you do, you just curiosity kills the cat, you know. I never could. I still haven't. I guess, whether it was one individual or several individuals who got together in my churches, and I don't know. I mean, there were some people I know who could have done that without any problem at all. But whether they did or not, I don't know. But I know this. Ever since then, for 50 years, I've been hunting for people. Excuse me. I should probably start this thing. I've been hunting for people that I can return their favor. I can't do what that was done to me, obviously, because that's way beyond me. But there have been times, many times over the years, I've been able, you know, without anybody knowing about it, still don't, to repay that debt. And I'm still looking. And I'll look for the rest of my life. Freely you have received, freely give. Thank you. We have